All right, Megan Signal, here we go. New Zealand weightlifting champion and record holder in multiple weight classes. CrossFit Games team athlete, Pacific Regional individual CrossFit athlete. That's a bit of a resume. Welcome and thank you for being here and taking some time to talk about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll talk about your journey in CrossFit and weightlifting soon, and everything that's come along with it. But for a start, let's talk about you growing up. Talk about where you were born and raised, a bit about your culture and things like that.
Yeah, cool. So I grew up in the Waikato in Matamata. So I was born in Kehikehi, which is just out of Te Amutu, and yeah, grew up on a farm there.
Wow.
I kind of call it a pioneer farm because we weren't a dairy farm or anything like that. We just had 3 house cows and some pigs and some random animals. But it was a pretty good upbringing. And then I went to school there, studied fashion straight out of high school.
Yeah.
So I moved to Hamilton, studied there for 2 years, got a job in Auckland in fashion, moved to Auckland, and yeah, so that felt like that all happened quite fast, and yeah, it's been here since.
And you mentioned previously as a teenager you weren't much of an athlete, you weren't really into sports, you might have had other things on your mind. Talk to us a bit about your teenage years.
Yeah, the teenage years were very different to my life now. I mean, as anyone's, but I guess living out on a farm, it made it hard for us to play sport when we were in primary and intermediate because getting into town was a challenge.
Yeah.
But when it came to my teenage years, I didn't have any natural interest in sport or activity at all, and a lot of my friends I associated with were into other things like drinking and partying and
all the good stuff.
And yeah, which was all good, and I just naturally migrated more in that direction.
Yep.
For good few years until I actually started exercising and changing my lifestyle probably when I was about 21.
Yep.
22. Yeah.
So CrossFit and weightlifting, how did it come about? Which came about first, and how did you get into them?
So CrossFit came first.
Yep.
I was working in fashion for a company called Pumpkin Patch, and we had a corporate gym at the office, and that was where I first decided to join a gym. And so the trainers there, who are now business partners, introduced me to CrossFit, Zach and Callum.
Yep.
I didn't really know what CrossFit was at the time. They were just introducing me to different movements, and I found them kind of fun. So progressed from there, and they had a gym up the road, and obviously weightlifting being part of CrossFit, that's how I learnt how to clean and jerk and snatch, which happened over a longer period of time. It's quite hard to learn from scratch.
For sure.
So the CrossFit progression started there and then slowly became more competitive over the coming years.
And you obviously enjoyed the Olympic weightlifting aspect of it most. What do you think that is?
I don't really know. I think it just clicked for me a little bit sooner, and I just liked the idea of like learning how to move your body in a totally different way, and the fact that it was so frustrating and difficult to learn kind of kept you hooked.
I've heard. All right, so if we fast forward 2013, Richie Patterson's running a comp, which turned out to be your first weightlifting comp, that's right?
Yes, that's correct.
You remember much about it? Numbers? Did you enjoy it?
I remember everything about it. I remember the boys told me that it was going to be all good and that it was going to PB lifts and it was going to be amazing hype. They'd never done a weightlifting comp either, and I got there, it was dead silent. There was no hype. It was scary. And I was super shaky. So I think I ended up snatching 52.
Yeah.
Clean and jerking 70 maybe. And they were not pretty lifts or anything like that. It was all very shaky. But so I don't know if I'd say I really enjoyed it, but I just loved that I was just trying something new. So Richie was really supportive in trying to keep me doing more comps, and so that was a big part of why I stayed on.